Good morning, and welcome back from the break, everyone. My name is Jeff Salazzoni, and I'm with our customer experience team. I want to start by thanking all of you very much for sticking with us throughout the day for TPM SOLIDWORKS 2023 rollout. I'll be walking you through some new happenings at TPM and a bit of an introduction to my team. But first, I just want to start by recapping the awesome ways TPM is working to be an innovative partner to your business that you've seen already this morning. In the first session, Warren gave you a quick walkthrough of the different capabilities SOLIDWORKS 3D Experience offers. First, he talked about using 3D Sculptor to easily create unique shapes and surfaces. Then, he explained how 3D Creator gives you all the modeling tools you love with SOLIDWORKS through any browser-enabled device. And finally, Warren showed you how to do all of this in a CAD-aware cloud storage environment, one that's also incredibly customizable and collaborative. In Joel's presentation, he showed us some ways TPM is helping you use DriveWorks to automate your business and design processes. You can take your website to the next level with different visually appealing configurators. As someone whose whole job is focused on the customer's experience, I can't think of anything that improves that more than letting your customers easily view and toggle through your offerings, all from simple web plugins. If you're having trouble moving data between your engineering and other business systems, DriveWorks can help with that as well. Guys, this is just a 10,000 foot view of the stuff we're doing over here. What we really want to do is have a conversation with you and find new creative ways to help. So what's new with us? A new office. We've moved our Columbia location to a building at 2510 Main Street. For those who were regulars at the old office, this one's only about 10 minutes down the road. When we moved, we upgraded all of our printing equipment, and we've also centralized our document scanning services here. If you're still keeping file cabinets full of legacy documents that you want digitized, these guys want to help you. Make sure to keep an eye on our event calendar. We'll definitely be looking to show off the new digs. And some more office-related news. We're in the process of expanding our Greenville office. We're going to be adding more office space so we can continue to invest in our people, expand our offerings, and find more industry-leading ways to help you. With this remodeling, we'll also be moving our 3D printing lab to our Greenville office. If you're not familiar with our 3D printing division, we partner with HP 3D, 3D Systems, and Markforged. We will have models for each here in Greenville soon. These aren't just for show. We operate them as part of printing services. If you're interested in outsourcing parts printing, you can use the Request a Quote tool on our website under the Services tab. Please be aware that lead times are a bit extended as we prepare to make this transition. Nothing on the books yet, but we will likely be holding some events to show off the new setup once the move is complete. So you got the how and the where of what's new to TPM, which brings us to the who. I want to take a few minutes here to introduce you to the customer experience team since it is somewhat new to TPM. As we continue to grow, we're looking for new ways to streamline and improve your interactions with TPM, and the customer experience team was made with that in mind. We wanted to make sure we're able to answer your requests and meet your needs in the most efficient way possible across the full spectrum of TPM offerings. But we're here to talk about SOLIDWORKS. So what does that mean to you? First and foremost, we're going to be your frontline support team. If you call into our SOLIDWORKS support line, the customer experience team is going to field that call. If we're not able to solve your problem, we'll triage the call to our next tier of technical support, which is generally available for an immediate transfer. In addition to support, we are also your training and services coordinators. If you're not aware, TPM has a schedule of open enrollment classes throughout the year. Closed or customized training classes can also be scoped and scheduled with your account managers. We're very proud of our technical team here, and over the past year, TPM has delivered 11,000 hours of training to over 750 students. These 140 classes ran the gamut from introductory level to higher level topics like flow simulation. Since we're talking about what's new, I want to take a moment to highlight our geometric dimensioning and tolerancing class with a curriculum designed by our own Warren McCrae. This is new to this year, but the feedback has been incredibly positive. Regularly selling out or being scheduled as a closed class. Getting back to our role in this, if you sign up for either of these options, expect to hear from someone on our team in the weeks leading up to the training. We're the ones who will be getting you your course materials, and we'll also be setting up time to explain our virtual lab environment. What that looks like is a quick 10-minute meeting that we call a tech check. The point of this is to show you how to log in and navigate our Microsoft Azure virtual lab environment. This way, you already have familiar with the process on the morning of the class, so you can get right into the material. We get the question a lot, so I want to emphasize that we still do welcome people into our office for training. That being said, The virtual environment allows us to standardize the training experience and deliver courses to you in the most convenient way possible. But keep an eye on our events page. We'll have all of our open enrollment classes posted here, and you can conveniently register on the website too. The last thing I wanted to talk to you all about is new-ish. We actually rolled this out last summer because it's an awesome way that TPM is bringing added value to your SOLIDWORKS subscription. I think you've heard just about enough of me today, so I'll let our great account managers and technical team introduce you to the TPM One program.
The key features of the TPM One Premier program are the productivity tools that clients get when they purchase. In addition, you have an online resource library of training that you can take at your own pace. If you have any updates or maintenance costs for that year, you also get a reduction on those costs.
The TPM One Premier program is an enhanced subscription model which takes the base subscription and enhances it to include various discounts and free time with our technical team, and really enhances the experience for our customers.
One of the biggest pain points that our customers have is the concern for time. With their design changes and rework, they lose a lot of time, which can really hinder getting to the customer on time. Communication is also very important. You need to communicate in a timely manner to the organization, to the suppliers, and ultimately to the customers. So time is very valuable, and that is something that the TPM One program can help them save.
The TPM One Premier program is industry leading because it allows our customers the ability to maximize on their two most important assets, software and their people. It gives them time back, it gives them training, it gives them all the things that they need to enhance those two features of their business.
You won't find it anywhere else. The value is there. It's indisputable. It pays for itself right off the bat.
If you're not a part of the TPM One program, you are really missing out on some amazing benefits that can truly transform your organization.
I think Morgan really nailed it at the end there. If you aren't part of this program, you're really missing out on an opportunity to transform your business. At its core, this program is designed to save you time and money. For the designers out there, this will save you time through accelerated support resolutions. It'll save you time through productivity tools that sit inside SOLIDWORKS. Professional service hours can be used to book one-on-one time with our technical team to assess and improve workflows. And Tony will get into it much more later, but Solid Professor saves on average 30 minutes of production time per search. This all adds up. We want to eliminate small inefficiencies in your day-to-day and give you that time back. For the managers out there, the discounts we're offering are no joke either. For every seat on our enterprise level, you get a $250 voucher to one of our open enrollment classes. You'll also receive 20% off any services you book with TPM. Anything from on-site customized training courses to large-scale implementations, and even our assessment program. If you weren't aware, you're able to engage our technical leadership to perform a comprehensive review of your business, including onboarding programs and technology stack. This is the kind of stuff that could really transform your entire operation. And guys, there's still more. You also get one print scan voucher per seat, good for $250 off a $500 service. I talked earlier about 3D printing and document scanning services. That's a great use for these. We also offer 3D part scanning. Our partnership with Artec gives us the tools to help with reverse engineering and inspection. If you decide you're done outsourcing this stuff, you can use the vouchers on the purchase of the equipment. We like to use the phrase indisputable value when we talk about the TPM One program, and I hope I'm doing a good job of conveying that. This program is designed to help TPM be the best partner to you with the goal of growing together. With all that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Tony now to talk about Solid Professor. This is a tool that we're so happy to offer as part of the TPM One program, and I don't think there's anyone better to drive home just how transformative it can really be. If you have questions about the things I talked about today, or if you have questions about accessing your TPM One program benefits, please drop us an email at experience@tpm.com. And again, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here with us. Tony, it's all yours.
Thank you for that introduction, Jeff. And in this section, I'm going to talk a little bit about Solid Professor, the value of Solid Professor, thinking about it from the perspective of you're an individual user and you want to understand what's the value of Solid Professor for me, or if you're a manager for an organization, a team of users, and how can you see the value of Solid Professor for you. So first, before I go into that little background on me, my name is Tony Glockler. I am the co-founder of Solid Professor, and this journey started a long time ago for me. I was in the in mechanical engineering space and just loved the software, and had become an applications engineer for a reseller. This is about 20 years ago, and just saw the need for augmenting learning. The needs of a SOLIDWORKS user was such that you can go through a training class, you can learn SOLIDWORKS however you learn it, but there's so many tools and capabilities inside of SOLIDWORKS that you really need an ongoing resource. And since then, we've really expanded out SolidFester. We cover a lot of other course material outside of just SolidWorks, but that is really kind of the core of SolidFester. So let me do a quick overview. Like Jeff mentioned, SolidFester is a key component of the TPM subscription. For all the TPM customers that are listening out here, I'm going to give you basically an overview of what are the tools, what SolidFester and that's available for your team, and how can you make the most of it. So first, what is SolidFester? For those of you that are not familiar with it, SolidFester is an online video-based learning resource for topics inside of engineering and design. It's not just the learning, but there's learning paths to be able to earn industry certifications. It could be the CSWA, it could be the CSWP. We also have our own technical certificates for ways to show off the skills that you've learned. And we're also very much an on-demand, online method to find answers, on-demand learning. So when you run into a challenge, what resources do you have to get through those challenges through your workday? And as I mentioned, we started as a SOLIDWORKS online learning resource, and we've expanded dramatically. And one of the reasons why we partnered together with TPM when they approached us is that they understand the needs of their customer base, which is those of you on the phone. And it's not always just SOLIDWORKS. These are engineering challenges, these are manufacturing challenges, and having a broad library of course material that addresses those needs is the best solution. And so as a result, we've got a huge library of content. And again, from SOLIDWORKS is kind of the cornerstones. Other CAD tools, AutoCAD, popular CAD tool that's been around for a while. We also cover engineering theory, geometric dimensioning, tolerancing. We cover design for manufacturing. We cover CAM, we cover engineering graphics, we covered finite element method. So there's a lot available inside of this library inside of SolidFester that's available to you. I'm going to do just kind of a quick overview of some of the benefits if you're sitting in your chair and you're looking at this and thinking about it from the perspective of either yourself or a perspective of managing a team. I'm going to go through a couple of just kind of highlights of what SolidFester does and how we fit those different types of roles, and then I'm going to shift into the actual platform and show off what does this interface look like and how do you get these benefits that I'm going to share you inside the platform so you actually see it. But really, we're centered around two different types of learning, or two different types of experiences. Initially, our whole goal was on making sure that an individual learner had the best learning experience for anything related to engineering and design. And so, as from a benefit standpoint, that means things like keeping up to date with the best practices. SOLIDWORKS is always evolving. There's always new capabilities. Maybe there's new skills inside of either SOLIDWORKS or other engineering topics that are going to be important to you in your job or in your career. Saving time. Everyone's got a limited amount of time in their day. They need to be efficient with that time. And so SolidFester is really designed to be that time-saving resource, or if you're looking to enhance your career and develop new skills and show off those skills. So those are kind of tied to the large library of topics. Our lessons are professionally scripted. It's done by professionals. We update the course material every year. There's resources in here to be able to bookmark lessons that you need to refer back to frequently. If you also need to find answers to questions quickly, all of those things are built into the SolidFester platform to kind of benefit you as an individual user, or if you're managing a team and you're thinking about what your users' needs are. These are kind of the capabilities are built into the platform. That said, we also have a big focus on the engineering manager or CAD manager, or anyone that's managing a skills development of a team. And one of the big challenges if you're managing a skills development of your team is how capable is everybody in what areas, and how do you understand that, and how do you drive learning progress? It's a very difficult thing to do. Historically, people maybe rely on trusted other individuals inside the organization. With SolidFester, we want to give you objective measures for those things. So help you understand how skilled is either an individual user or all the individual users of your team through different skills development tools inside of SolidFester. The ultimate goal is you want to be able to get insights, and you want to get to the point where you can standardize the skills development of the skills of your team, so people are approaching the design problems using the same methods and the same techniques. And that's going to help reduce design errors. It's going to help your team to operate more efficiently together, more cohesively. And part of those capabilities that help you get there is the ability to organize course material based on the needs of your users. So within SolidFester, you can pick and pull from any of the different material or any of the different courses that are in there, and you can turn those into a learning path. You can assign those to either groups of individuals, or you can assign it to a specific individual. You can track progress, you can assess, you can include inline skill assessment tests to be able to see how people are picking up the different capabilities in those that learning material. And then you get insights through some dashboard reporting just to understand, well, what does this look like? How is my entire team progressing? So it really kind of cracks open that black box of I don't really have a good idea of how to evaluate my team, and gives us real quantitative data. Another item that's important to mention here too is really SolidFester is the perfect complement for live training. The two of them have tremendous value in kind of in isolation. You bring those two together, and it really is the perfect complement. So instructor-led training, you've got an instructor in front of you, you get a professional, you've got dedicated time set aside to be able to go through learning material. You've got an environment where you can engage with the instructor, you can ask questions. One of the challenges is as soon as you leave the training classroom, you are somewhat on your own. Either you're going to be talking to the person next to you, if you're in a larger team, if you need any kind of questions answered, but really if you have SolidFester on your desktop, that's the perfect solution. You can go through, you can review the different courses that maybe you've been through, different techniques. If you want to go beyond what those skills are, if there's things that you've forgotten, that's really kind of the value of SolidFester complemented with training. Before I switch over and I share SolidFester, I really wanted to highlight some of the impact really that has happened since TPM has rolled out this new offering to your customers. What I've got up on the screen here is the total learning activity that's happened over this last year. And so there's been a total of 18,000 lesson views. So that by itself is an impressive number. It's a large number. But more importantly is, well, how does that translate into benefit? What does that mean? Jeff had mentioned before, we kind of ballpark 30 minutes is, if you can find an answer to a question inside of SolidFester, we tend to ballpark that's probably going to save you 30 minutes of time, or rather bugging the person that's next to you, or looking online to unprofessional, unreliable answers, maybe in YouTube or just on Google. It can take you 30 minutes just to find the right answer. So spending time with SolidFester, we typically ballpark 30 minutes. I took that number and I cut it in half just to be conservative. And if you take a look at this 18,267 lesson views inside SolidFester, that actually equates to about 570 days of accelerated time to market, time saved. So actual efficiency gain across the customer base, because these things, it really does translate to real value. And then also looking at all the active companies that have been engaging with SolidFester within the TPM customer base, the average number of lesson views is about 80. And so that equates to going through 2 courses inside of SolidFester. So it could be maybe an advanced parts course, for example, or maybe an advanced surfacing course. So really the TPM customer base is really jumping in there, getting a lot of value out of this. If you haven't yet with your team, connect with Jeff and the success team over there, and they'll be able to get you started and get into SolidFester to start getting the value for yourself or for your team. Oh, and last thing too, just to highlight as far as the content, what are people engaging with? So this is a pie chart showing what are the most actively engaged with courses inside of SolidFester. A little bit of a precursor before I show the product, but just walking down the list from most engaged to least, it's a really wide range of course materials. So everything from fundamentals, so SolidWorks for beginners material. Second most engaged with is certification. So we cover certification prep courses inside of SolidFester, but also GD&T, engineering graphics, so very much theory-based material for engineering inside of the SolidFester library. So always interesting to see what are people spending their time with learning. So maybe got a little bit ahead of myself with some of those numbers, but I wanted to be able to share the impact because I think it makes taking a look at the platform a little more engaging. So quick overview of the SolidFester platform. So it's SolidFester is in a web browser, so it's accessible for anywhere you have an internet connection. I'm going to be showing off our interface in a browser. Typically people have a second monitor, and this is a great way to be able to get into SolidFester and make the most of the learning experience. We also have an add-in right inside of SolidWorks, and that add-in makes basically a web page like this, call it, that's optimized for learning experience inside of the SolidWorks task pane, and put SolidFester right at your fingertips, right inside of the SolidWorks environment. So your day-to-day working environment. So just keep that in mind. I'm using this because it's more screen real estate and gives a better an idea of what's inside of SolidFester, but all of these things are at your fingertips inside of the SolidFester add-in. So first I want to highlight, just from I mentioned the value to an individual, and as well as management for a team is the breadth of content inside of SolidFester. So if I click on this view all courses, you'll see the breadth of the course library. So there's two different categories you can follow here. One is if there's a learning path, there's an outcome that you want to pursue. So becoming SolidWorks certified is an example of an outcome. This isn't just one course that you want to go through. I need to go through a multiple of courses to be able to achieve what my goal is. And so in this case, if I click on this, what we'll do is we'll organize course material together to help you get to that learning outcome. So in this case, if you're an individual user or if you're a manager supporting your team to pursue certification inside of SolidWorks, this will lay out everything from beginning to taking the prep course to taking the test. So there you'll see there's 11 hours of content. These are all the different preparatory classes to go through to learn the foundations of taking the test. There's got some nice visual indicators, you know, closing the bar. Everyone's used to closing the bar with their Apple Watches these days, but these are nice motivators to get through the learning material. And it literally is, I can click through this, it's going to take me through this course. I'm going to see my progress, work my way through all the way till I get to the certification prep course. And this is a really important step. So if you're looking to get the SolidWorks certification, in this case it's the CSWA, but we also cover the CSWP and E, you really want to make sure that your time spent learning is valuable, right? It's not just about the learning material, it's about, well, what does the test taking environment look like? Am I going to have test taking anxiety? And so this prep course is about putting you in that test taking environment so you know how to prepare for actually taking the test. Like I mentioned, these are the learning paths. It's a collection of courses together inside of SolidFester that's going to walk you through to a certain outcome. We have different ones in here. You can click on here to see all the different learning paths that are available. Some more about the actual library of content. So like I mentioned, SolidWorks is the cornerstone here. There's over 700 hours of content. I'm going to come back to this, but just to highlight some of the other core material we have in here as well. We have other CAD materials in here. Most people tend to have some AutoCAD laying around still. Maybe you're not using it all the time, or maybe you need to get people up to speed every once in a while to pick up some old AutoCAD documents. This is a great way to go in here and make sure you're keeping your skills sharp. I mentioned some of the other courses, so engineering graphics and spatial visualization. This goes into understanding how to create and document engineering drawings. So a lot of times we hear this from corporations and CAD administrators that schools teach people how to make the CAD software dance, but they can't create a 3D drawing. So this is a great way to either go through and learn some of the fundamentals of the engineering graphics, or if you want to, you can also use this as a method to be able to test individual users on their skills to see if they really are up to speed on understanding how to document drawings appropriately. And so just to kind of highlight this, once I step into this engineering graphics course, you see all the different lessons are very short. So speed to the answer is key. So 1.5 minutes, 1 minute lesson, just under 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The idea here is let's go through the course material that's relevant to you or to the user, and then you can move on with your day. You can always start from the very top and then work your way to the end. And at the very end, there's this test. This knowledge test is a way to ensure that you really know the content. This isn't just about watching lessons. This is also making sure that has been retained. So this test is a way to be able to test those skills, and tied to these tests, if someone scores an 80% or higher, you can earn a technical certificate, and this is a way to show off what you've learned, either by printing out a certificate, like Jeff mentioned earlier, something to kind of put on your cube wall to show off what skills you've learned, and it's also a way to build your digital resume. I had mentioned this earlier too, but reference learning is an important part of SolidFester. Maybe some of these lessons are going to be important to the user at some point. I can bookmark these, and these will show up in my bookmarks bar, my favorites bar, my bookmarks bar, so I can get back to them very easily. So I'm not having to go through and remember which lessons were the ones that were important to me. We'll let the system do that. So just to do a quick overview of some of the other course material here, so GD&T, a fantastic foundations course all the way through some advanced capabilities. We also cover FEA, so if you want to get people started on using some of the simulation tools that you have available inside your organization, it's always great to first understand the principles of FEA. So this course goes into those principles of FEA. We have a number of them in here. So it's the mathematics, the theory before you put someone's hands on the actual expensive software. And then just kind of walking through some other ones to highlight. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Design for Manufacturing is absolutely one of those popular courses as well. Same concept. In school, they teach you how to make the software dance. They don't always teach you that you can't make everything. Maybe you can 3D print it, but if you're going to actually traditionally manufacture something, there's concepts associated with manufacturing that need to be taken into account if you're going to be designing. And so there's some really great courses in here. And again, there's the course material, and there's a way to be able to assess how much you picked up tied to these different tests or these different courses. So that's kind of a high-level overview. Some of you might have noticed courses that would be interested for you. I'm not going to go through everyone, like I said, but you are, as a TPM customer, this whole library is now available to you. So feel free, if you haven't logged in already or gotten access, connect with Jeff and the TPM team, and they'll be able to make sure that you are in here and you're actually able to take advantage of everything that's available inside of SolidFester. I'm going to touch on briefly some of the, you know what, I was going to go to the SolidWorks library. Let me highlight some things in the SolidWorks library that are really, really valuable. So SolidWorks course material, it's everything from fundamentals through advanced topics. So industrial design, advanced sketching techniques, the foundational ones I kind of scrolled through, advanced part design, you name it, there's a huge course library here inside of SolidFester. Something to highlight here as well is that if you are not on a current version of SolidWorks, which a lot of people aren't, maybe you're a version behind, we keep previous versions of the instruction in the library. And the intent here is you want the installed version of what you have installed of SolidWorks to match the learning material. And so with SolidFester, we support that. So you'll be able to go into and see course material that matches what you have installed in your machine. We also have exercise files. So the learning happens when you put your hand on the mouse. It's video-based lessons. It's easy and it's convenient to be able to go through them. The learning happens when you put your hand on the mouse. So we have downloadable exercise files. We have walkthroughs, a lot of engaged learning content instead of just watching the lessons. So the lessons are a very efficient way to deliver learning. And one of the real highlights, especially as new releases come out, is we have an update training course similar to, let's see, did I scroll through it already? There we go. We have an update training library that covers the current release, as well as many, many years back. So if you're making a jump up to a new version of SOLIDWORKS, the most important thing you should do is go in here and make sure you're not doing the update for no reason. You're doing the update because you want to take advantage of the new capabilities that are in here. This, with inside SolidFester, it's going to help you get there. So it's all the courses are broken down into a very logical format. So you got general enhancements, parts and features, assemblies, sheet metal, etc. And taking even 20 minutes of time to run through what's new in the new release versions. One, it's more fun, frankly. You get to use the new tools and capabilities. That's why those new releases came out. It makes your life better. But some of these can have the opportunity to really save you a lot of time and energy while you're designing, keeping up to speed with best practices. So highly encourage people to take the time to go through this update training. I had mentioned tools for anyone who's managing a team. I'm going to touch on that a little bit right here and give you an overview of what some of those capabilities are. So as an administrator, this is something that's available to an administrator and then can be pushed out to a team. If there are certain areas of SOLIDWORKS that maybe you want to brush up on, or you want your team to brush up on, or maybe it's other capabilities, maybe it's GD&T, maybe it's a collection, all of those together. What these groups are is a way to be able to group a learning objective together and then essentially drop users into those learning objectives. So, and there's a couple ways to think of this. So in this example, you can see I've got advanced sketching techniques. So if I want to create an advanced sketching techniques and drive users through this course, I can use that. Maybe I want to define a level of learning. So in this case, I've got an associate engineer. Maybe this associate engineer level requires a little bit of GD&T, a little bit of 3D printing, some SolidWorks, and maybe engineering graphics, let's say. Those are required to go through. Those are the learning objectives. If I want to, I can put together that learning objectives and then drop people into this group. So it's a way to be able to really structure the learning. I'm going to just click into this one to give you an idea of what it looks like also from a user's perspective. So a user, what they'll do is they'll see, all right, I've been added this advanced sketching techniques group. It's broken down to logical subsections. As an administrator, you can ask the user to go through a baseline test if you want to get an understanding of where people's current skill levels are. So this can be either turned on or turned off. You see this baseline test right here. And then it's broken up in different categories, and the user will be able to see how well they did on the baseline test, how they've progressed in that course material, as well as how well they did on a review test. So you get very clear quantitative results on how much someone has improved their skills. On the opposite side, as an administrator, I've got this reporting tab, and I'm just going to switch to another group where I know there's some data in here. There it is. This is a group called Introduction to SolidWorks. Here are the users I had dropped into that group, and this is where I'll be able to get direct insights into progress. So I can see overall progress for each of these users. Someone's 18% of the way through, someone's 11%. This is my Dunder Mifflin account, so you might recognize some of these names. And I'll get real data on how much people are progressing through the course material. I can see how well people have tested in the baseline test. It just gives me real insights into how people are progressing. I can download this to Excel if I want to be able to put this in more of a transportable format. So different ways to be able to use this data. I also get kind of a high-level view, and this is of the entire user base, or not the TPM user base, but your own customer base. What does the learning activity look like? Are people going in and learning? I can set the date range and see what the overall learning progress looks like of my team. It's no longer a black box. You can get real insights. Who are the most active users? What content are people spending time with? Etc. And then finally, there's also kind of a user management section here as well, where I'll be able to see, go to all members. I can see all my users. I can see when they view, how many lessons they viewed. I've seen the last time they've logged in. Just real learning insights into learning and learning progress.